which is actually the best city in India to build your startup right now. Delhi has the customers, Mumbai has the money and markets, Hyderabad has the infra and all these shiny new offices, and Bengaluru definitely has the hype. Everyone has their own strong opinions that I keep seeing on Twitter where there's like a war breaking out every few months, but almost nobody is looking at the full picture and with the right data. So we went through 81 pages of hardcore data to tell you which is the best city that you should be building your startup in. So we decided that instead of arguing in the abstract, let's zoom in on two people who could be watching this video right now. Raj is a 32-year-old software engineer who wants to start his own company, and Sana is a 26-year-old marketer on a second job. Over the next few minutes, you'll see how the same data that ranks cities on charts quietly decides which city makes the most sense for people like Raj and Sana to bet the next decade of their career on. Now, to do this properly, we need something more solid than not just takes and tweets. The backbone of this video is a new city report called We Are City 2026, and it's put together by Unboxing Bengaluru and a data firm called How India Lives. What I love about this report, it didn't just look at boring GDP tables and the old school way of doing surveys, but it actually uses real world proxies that show up in your daily life, apps that consumers use every single day. For example, Swiggy and Big Basket data to see how people eat and shop, Book My Show to see how often they go out, and you have Make My Trip and Redbus to see how much they travel. And then they mix all of this hard stuff with RBI numbers, GST data, district GDP, EPFO job data. So when we say the city eats out more, the city travels more, it's literally coming from all of the apps that people are consuming, not just from a tiny survey sample. Now, to keep this as unbiased as possible, we're going to look at this through three simple lenses. Where the money is, which means which cities actually attract the most amount of startup funding. 2, what daily life feels like, which includes the commute, the housing, going out, basic everyday sanity. And 3, where the people are, the kind of jobs, talent, the global companies that make a city a magnet for all of the ambitious people over here. And using that, by the end of this video, I want us to answer just one primary question. If you had to take a bet on your next 10 years on one Indian city, what does the data suggest? Which one should you pick? Now that we have that question and a comprehensive data set, let's start putting it to some work. My name is Rohit Kamath and welcome to Breakdown. And the most obvious place to begin is the money. Where has serious startup funding actually gone over the last decade? If you zoom out on the last decade of Indian startups and just track where serious funding has gone, 3 cities dominate the cluster on almost every chart: Delhi NCR, Greater Mumbai, and Bengaluru. But when you look at the numbers a little more closely, the balance between those isn't equal. On venture capital, one city clearly starts to pull ahead of the others. Across 2014 to 2024, the report shows startups in Bengaluru raising around $37.8 billion in venture capital versus $17 billion for Delhi NCR and $12 billion for Mumbai. In other words, over that decade, Bengaluru has pulled in about 1.5 times as much VC as Delhi and Mumbai both combined, not just a little bit more. What does this actually mean for founders? It means that if you're trying to raise a Series A or Series B, this is a city where more venture funds are based or heavily active, or more partners on the ground taking those meetings. And you also have a better founder ecosystem that have already gone through that journey that you are also going through. Now, this isn't just about how much money exists in India. It's about where that money is physically concentrated, which cafes, which office parks, and which meetups. On that front, Bengaluru has very clearly become the default venue for serious tech funding that doesn't make Delhi or Mumbai irrelevant. Delhi NCR still throws up big consumer internet and edtech plays, especially for anything aimed at North India. Mumbai is still home and turf for banks, NBFCs, public markets, which is priceless if you're building in fintech or financial services. But if you only asked over the last decade which Indian startup has serious startup capital and you had to make that decision on where you live, it is Bangalore. Now, growth stage capital is just one thing. The more revealing question for a founder is, where does the riskiest money go? The report slices the data again, this time looking at only seed funding. Those first institutional checks between 2020 to 2024. When you zoom in on the seed funding alone, the pattern becomes clear. In most of those years, the amount of seed funding landing in Bengaluru is roughly equal to higher than what Delhi NCR and Mumbai sees together. Even when the market is cooling, seed checks and basically pure risk appetite. At that stage, you often don't even have a stable business, meaningful revenues, or even haven't yet achieved product market fit. And investors are mostly just betting on a team with a problem statement and a great story. So if year after year, more of those early high-risk checks keep landing in one city, it tells you something very simple. That city has the highest concentration of people who are willing to lose money on experiments and are willing to take those bets. So if you're a pre-product market fit, if you have left your job with an idea and an early prototype, your odds of finding that first believer are statistically higher in Bengaluru. Of course, the sector and all that still matter. Delhi has a genuinely stronger early stage startup ecosystem around consumer brands and policy heavy plays. Mumbai has a deep early stage fintech money because that's where a lot of the talent, compliances, know-hows, regulatory access all sit out. But if you zoom out of the individual niches and simply ask, where is India the most willing to write those experimental checks? The answer becomes clear and just points in one direction. For someone like Raj, that difference shows up in very practical ways. In Bengaluru, it's simpler and easier to find investors who'll at least hear him out. They're around to meet up in co-working spaces, even through friends, connections, and you have better access to these people. In most other cities, those conversations are fewer, harder to set up, and take longer. So if you only followed the money, total venture capital and the riskiest seed funding, we'll already be leaning towards one city, and obviously the winner is Bengaluru here. But cities aren't spreadsheets. On paper, the funding numbers look, absolutely fantastic. But on ground, you still have to deal with traffic, rent, school, pollution, safety, and all of the unglamorous stuff that decides where you can actually stay somewhere for the next 10 years. Delhi NCR has its own unfair advantages. And if you care about big national scale consumers, or you need to be on the ground around ministries, regulators, it's very hard to beat Delhi. Mumbai has its own thing going on if your world revolves around banks, NBFCs, investors, TV studios, and pink papers. Being in Mumbai still makes life a lot more easier. And even in the cities that's clearly winning on venture capital, seed money, founders will still tell you the same complaints on loop. The commute or traveling is just brutal, right? Because housing is expensive and you're just getting from home to office and back can feel like you're doing a full-time job on some days. So the capital picture is strong, but it's only one lens. Now, to really make a decision on where you actually need to set your base and your startup in, we have to look at it from what the everyday life will also look like living in these cities. We'll come to the talent story in a bit. First, let's talk about the boring, unsexy variable that quietly controls everything, from who moves where to how long they stay, how livable these cities actually are. When this report talks about livability, it's not rating tourist spots. It's basically asking, what does your average Tuesday feel like in this city? How long are you really stuck on the road? How much are you paying for a half-decent house? Can you even step out late night to watch something, grab some food, and get back without the feeling like it's a logistical nightmare? On that livability index, the ranking flips just a bit. Hyderabad actually comes out on the top, Bengaluru is second, and then you have Kolkata, Chennai, Delhi, NCR after that. So Bengaluru is still doing well overall, but it's also clearly a little bit more stressful place to live in. And you feel that stress in two very basic places, your commute and your rent. Let's start with commute. Across India's big cities, the average office goer is spending roughly an hour one way getting to work. But what you get for that 1 hour looks very different. Put someone like Raj in that picture for just a second. In Bengaluru, he leaves Whitefield at 9 a.m. for a 10 a.m. stand-up in Indranagar. In that 59-minute trip, he travels roughly about 18 kilometers. The same Raj in Hyderabad can leave around 9 and cover 22 kilometers in that hour and still have time to grab breakfast downstairs instead of having it in that cab. So both cities are clogged, but Bengaluru fatigues you more for every kilometer you travel. On top of that, Bengaluru is also the most expensive among the top cities when it comes to local travel by metro or auto. So you're not just losing more time there, you're also paying more each day for the privileges of being stuck in traffic. Over the last 5 or 6 years, the average price of an under construction home in Bengaluru has almost doubled. In Hyderabad, prices have definitely gone up, but a little bit more slowly. For someone like Sana on a 60K take home in her second job, that difference is very real. In Hyderabad, she can split a decent 2 BHK about 20 minutes from her office and still have a good chunk of her money left for weekends. In Bengaluru, the same budget usually pushes her much more further out with a 40 to 45 minute ride each way and a much tighter monthly budget. For a founder or an early employee, that shows up in very direct ways. What kind of places you can actually afford near your office, how far out of the city you're pushed, and how much of your salary vanishes into rent or EMIs every single month. Hyderabad isn't frozen on time either. The state has been steadily hiking base property values, which means property taxes and eventually prices, which will keep creeping up. But today, it's still noticeably lighter on the wallet than Bengaluru. So if you only look at the pain side of the equation, time lost in traffic, money burnt on on rent, Hyderabad feels a lot more kinder and is clearly the winner here. But cities aren't just about avoiding pain. You also care about what the place gives you once you're back from work. Whether it is the weather, the buzz, how easy it is to step out, meet people, try new things. And on that front, Bengaluru does have a few things working in its favor on the quality life side of things. The weather is kinder for most parts of the year. And on what do you do after work, the question it really starts to pull ahead. You can even see it in what evenings look like. On a Friday, Sana in Bengaluru might finish work, try a new gig, or grab a late night dinner and a cab back, all discovered and paid on apps. In Hyderabad, she has similar options: gigs, malls, new restaurants, not just at the same scale or intensity. The vibe is a little bit more different. Bengaluru feels a lot more, let's experiment. Hyderabad feels a little bit more like, let's keep it comfortable. But in both places, people are clearly going out and spending. If you look at the behavior data in the same report, things like domestic hotel and homestay bookings, how many events and meetups are listed, how often people actually prepay instead of choosing cash on delivery, and how quickly mutual fund investments have grown, Bengaluru keeps punching above its weight. It looks like the city where people are constantly trying new experiences, new products, and new ways of spending or investing their money. Hyderabad, in contrast, comes across as more comfortable and essential first. Your commutes are smoother, your house is more affordable, and the basic infrastructure feels a lot more sorted. And this is exactly where livability bleeds into the labor market, because the top 1 to 5% of talent usually have their options. They don't just choose a company, they choose a city. If daily life is miserable, they burn out faster or they move. If daily life is comfortable and interesting, they're far more likely to stay. Put down those roots and switch between companies and the city instead of leaving it altogether. Hyderabad clearly wins when it comes to everyday essentials, and Bengaluru wins on the energy and the vibes. Now, before we jump into the talent side, it's worth spending a few seconds on how this report is actually building these scores, because it's not just about one or two cherry-picked facts. They basically throw everything into these three main baskets. The first part is economic heft, which is the district GDP, the number of new companies, bank deposits and loans, GST paying firms, prime new office spaces. The second is livability, which is commute, time cost, housing indicators, weather, air quality, safety, and all of that. Next, we have workforce pull, which is the formal jobs on the books, how fast those jobs are growing, startup and GCC talent, and how friendly the city is for women at work. Now, each and every metric is put into a common low to high scale and then averaged inside those baskets, with each basket getting equal weight. That way, one flashy number can't hijack the ranking. Those are the three indices I've been quoting. Now, if you stop asking which city is the easiest to live in and instead ask, where do ambitious people actually choose to move? Now you're looking at the workforce pull score. Now, on that scorecard, Bengaluru comes out as number 1, Mumbai and Delhi follow, and then Hyderabad is right behind them. If you just take the formal job side of that index, Bengaluru alone accounts for roughly a quarter of all the employee provident fund registrations and registered jobs across these big cities. And its job growth over the last few years has been faster than both Delhi and Mumbai. Layer on top the fact that it's also been the largest startup workforce among companies founded in the last decade, and you can also see why the report calls it the strongest job magnet. You can see it in people's CVs too. Raj in Bengaluru can easily go from a global bank's GCC to an Indian unicorn to a 20% startup, all without changing cities. I mean, that's crazy, right? In most other cities, that kind of zigzag curve in your career usually needs at least one interstate movement. So even after you price in the traffic and the rent, if you're asking the question, where are the best opportunities on ground right now? The data still points to Bengaluru. Part of the reason is the mix of the employers you find there. GCCs, or Global Capability Centers, are basically the in-house back offices of big international companies. Think of a major bank or a global tech firm or even a manufacturing giant that sets up a large team in India to either build software, run analytics, or support operations around the world. Bengaluru has the single largest base of these centers and the talent inside them. So roughly speaking, it has more than twice the GCC headcount that Hyderabad does. And a lot of that work is on the high-end tech and knowledge work, and not just your basic, support functions that usually exist in GCCs. On the startup side, if you look at the companies founded in the last decade, those startups together together employ more people in Bengaluru than Delhi and Mumbai. So you end up with two deep talent pools stacked on top of the other. People who have seen how global systems are built and people who have actually lived through the chaos of all your early stage Indian startups. That doesn't mean that Hyderabad is standing still. In the last 5 to 6 years, Hyderabad has aided as much prime office space as Bengaluru. And if you look at the junior hiring data of freshers and 0 to 5 year folks in IT, pharma, manufacturing, and a few other sectors, Bengaluru and Hyderabad together already soak up a very large share of those offers, often even more than Delhi and Mumbai combined. When Sana's juniors sit for campus placements, you can feel that shift. Half the shortlist is just Bengaluru and Hyderabad. Delhi and Mumbai show up more as like backup options. So if you're a 23-year-old engineer or analyst today, the pull is already tilted towards the south. Bengaluru is still the main magnet, but Hyderabad has gone from an interesting outsider to actually a very real alternative for your first and second jobs. Now, where does this leave us? On money, the pattern is pretty clear. Over the last decade, more venture capital and more of the riskier seed checks have gone into one city, then into Delhi and Mumbai both put together. If you're looking for the deepest pool of startup funding in India right now, you're only looking at that one place, which is Bengaluru. On a daily life, the story changes a little bit. Hyderabad comes out ahead on commute and housing stress and the overall livability, and it edges past Bengaluru. Bengaluru still has better weather and a busier going out culture, but you pay for that energy back in the traffic and situation on the roads and even in your rent. On people, the scale tilts back a little bit. Bengaluru scores highest on workforce pull and has the largest base of global capability centers and employs more people in startups founded in the last decade than Delhi or Mumbai. Hyderabad, meanwhile, has quietly built almost as much new office space as Bengaluru and is already sharing a big chunk of junior hiring with it. Now put all that together and you get a simple, slightly uncomfortable conclusion. So now, if you're building a startup in India today and you care most about where that capital, talent, and network density are the thickest and most concentrated, the data still says the best bet is Bengaluru. Yes, it's chaotic, it's expensive, it will still test your patience in the traffic, but it also gives you the deepest mix of investors, senior operators, and an ambitious peer to build with. Hyderabad is a city that's earned the right to be called the challenger. It wins on everyday sanity, it's catching up fast on offices and global companies, and for a lot of teams who are more cost sensitive or back office heavy, it might already be a smarter choice. Delhi and Mumbai don't disappear from the map either. If your game is of national scale, consumer brands, policy heavy ideas, or hardcore finance, being close to the government, banks, and the markets in those cities still matter a lot, in a way no other city can fully replace. But if the question you're asking is the one we started with, I'm starting up today in India, which city gives me the best mix of capital, talent, and energy? Then in 2026, all roads still point to Bengaluru, with Hyderabad getting a little closer in the rear view mirror every single year. I absolutely loved going through all of this and breaking down this data. Now, if you want to watch more such breakdown videos like this, please follow the space for more, subscribe, and give this to all the people making a decision on which city to build their startup in. And let's make a really big community of people that love watching boring reports.